Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time for Taroscopes again. This will be the Taroscopes for the sign of Cancer. That's Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, or Cancer Rising for the month of June 2023. Before we get into the reading, let's look at a little astrology. This isn't by any means an in-depth astrology evaluation. If you would like to see what's happening more specifically astrologically, you can check out my Astrology Kabbalah of June. I do the Kabbalah, the numerology, the Tree of Life stuff, along with the first 10 days, I think it is, of June. That will be out later today, so you can keep your eyes peeled for that. And then each week, I do the week ahead, where we dive a little bit deeper into what's going on in the week. But this month does promise to be transformational, not in the same way that it was in May. May was a very intense month, and the intensity continues, but in a little bit of a different way. We feel like we're sort of over a hump of some sort. We do have some planetary changes, changing signs, and changing direction. In fact, Saturn and Neptune, both in Pisces, change direction this month. And we do have Mercury moving, starting the month in Taurus, making a conjunction to Uranus, then moving into Gemini, and then eventually moving into Cancer, right around the time the sun moves into Cancer. So there's a lot. Gemini is moving very fast right now. And so we get, at the beginning of the month, we have finally Mercury out of its shadow of its retrograde. It was a retrograde in Taurus, which was a rather difficult retrograde, I might say. I personally have a Mercury retrograde in my chart, and usually Mercury retrogrades are not that challenging. But the thing with the Taurus Mercury retrograde, it did seem like the things that, it was like a very practical Mercury retrograde. Like you had to like plant your feet on everything in order to, if you were being a little wishy-washy or a little like out of woo-woo, it wasn't working for you, which usually Mercury retrograde, actually that works for you. But in Taurus, not so much. But that was then, this is now. Now we're going to have it making a conjunction to Uranus for you, Cancer. Let's see, that would be your 11th house. So new information coming out, perhaps in your friendships, new technologies that you can take advantage of, new illuminations coming for you, and perhaps how you best fit into the collective. Like, what is it that you can contribute to the collective? That information comes once once Mercury moves into Gemini. It is in your 12th house. It may be a little bit harder to sleep than normal. There's a lot of activity in that 12th house this month, including Mercury moving through that. We have a full moon in Sagittarius, meaning that the sun is in the 12th house and the moon is in the 6th house for you, Cancer. So this full moon, which is occurring on just at the beginning on the 3rd, brings illumination along the axis of health and healing. So if there is something that you need to take care of, whether it be spiritual healing or physical healing, you will become aware of it. Saturn does square the axis of that full moon, and it squares it from the 9th house, which is around your beliefs. So your beliefs around healing may be challenged. So be aware of that. And sometimes it's best to allow somebody who knows more than you to take the lead on things. So you know. Okay, what else is going on? We do have Saturn changing direction as well, which makes what I just said even more powerful. You have Saturn in moving through the 9th house now, challenging your beliefs, about what is true and what is not true, and what is fair and what is not fair. So Saturn has been in Pisces since March, and it's been moving forward, and you've been taking steps on all those issues I just mentioned. Now we have an opportunity to review that, and then eventually Saturn will go direct again, I think in the fall. And you'll have learned what you needed to learn from that experience and start to move forward again. But it is a review of what you believe to be true, and challenges to that. So that is there. Venus, the planet of love, is moving into Leo. Now for you, Cancer, Leo is your second house, your house of money, your house of resources, your house of what is vital in your life. Venus is in Leo for a long time. Usually Venus spends about maybe a month in a sign, maybe a little less, but Venus is ready for a retrograde cycle. She actually goes from 0 to 29 degrees of Leo before she turns retrograde. Will retrograde back to about 13 degrees of Leo and then go direct. And so between 13 and 29 degrees of Leo, that area of your chart, Venus is going to go over 3 times. So there's a possibility with Venus in that second house, you might overextend yourself a little bit, but then when it comes back, you'll be able to evaluate perhaps where you overextend yourself and fix what needs to be fixed. But Venus in Leo is a reminder to love ourselves, not in an egotistical, I'm better than you kind of way, I'm superior, I'm more entitled. If you're in that place, which I know you guys are not because you're watching me, I mean, if you had any doubt, you would be on the other side of that Leo, right? And you'd be like, everything I do is just perfect, so sometimes we watch these readings because there is some doubt, and it's a healthy doubt. It's not an unhealthy doubt. But it's important that we come to love and appreciate and value second house, our light, what we have to offer, our uniqueness, our unique talents and abilities. And we'll have an opportunity to do that because Venus is going to be in Leo till October. So 4 months, Venus in Leo. So Venus is going to be sitting in that second house, and you can actually make some good money with that. But you also have to, you can also spend some good money with that. So you need to be careful. Jupiter, remember, is in Taurus right now. And sometimes Jupiter and Taurus can make us overextend ourselves financially. So we do have to be careful about that. And it is squaring this Venus, at least in the beginning, as Venus moves through the early degrees of Leo. We have, I talked about the full moon, right? We have the full moon in your axis of health, but we also have a new moon in Gemini that's occurring on the, I think, 18th at about 27 degrees of Gemini, and it is square Neptune. And then shortly thereafter, Neptune turns direction, goes retrograde. So the new moon is ripe for both utilizing your creative imagination to really sort of manifest something, but we can also go on these flights of fancy. So we have to be practical. Jupiter is in Taurus. The North Node is still in Taurus. It isn't going to move out of Taurus until next month. So we still have to remember that as we move forward and as we evolve, we need to make sure that it is essential. Whatever it is that we choose is essential for our well-being. Okay. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So let's take a look at Cancer. We're going to use the Arcanum deck here. And let's see what's up for Cancer for the month of June. All righty. Okay. Give me a moment. I need a sip. My Sasquatch cup. I got this from my husband when I went to Washington State. When was that? Last year? Was that last year already? Um, Ireland was fun too. I hope you got to see some of my videos from Ireland. What a special place. I mean, usually I was sad to leave. I mean, it was, I probably had a past life there where I had to leave and I didn't want to, but I could feel, I cried. I cried when I had to leave Ireland. I actually cried all through Ireland, but it wasn't, they weren't sad tears. Now I'm a Cancer and you're a Cancer, right? So you understand this. Sometimes you just cry and you don't even question. Oh, the tears come out. There they are. Okay. You wipe your tears and then you get on with things. But there's a real sense of home there. I felt like I came home. Um, and I do have some Irish in my DNA, although I don't know anything about it at this point. Perhaps I'll explore that, my Irish side of things. But I fell in love. I realized I had an Irish soul the first time I heard Irish music. Da 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 with a black velvet band. All those songs about the sad songs of Ireland. I loved them all. Sometimes I think Cancers are like Russians. They love to be sad. Okay. We start with the Lover's card. Choice. We have a choice to make around love. The Lover's card is about choice. It's about love. It's also about separation and coming back together. If you have been living separately in some manner from somebody that you love, this is a time to make a choice. Do you want to stay together? Do you want to come back together? Or is it time to part ways? So that is a question you may be asking yourself. The challenge here is the Five of Cups. There's been a lot of loss in your life, a lot of dashed dreams, as it were. It's important not to focus on what you don't have, but to focus on what you still have, to move forward. It's important to grieve what you've lost, but you can't stay there. I just said Cancers are like Russians. They love to be sad. You can visit there, but you can't stay. You have to look around and see what else you have. One thing about Cancers is that they are pretty resilient. If you think about the environment of Cancer, where the earth meets the shoreline, where there's constant change, where sometimes there's a flood and other times there's a lack, right? It's getting in the flow and the rhythm, and coming out and going back in and coming out and going back in. Eventually we will move out of our sadness and move into the new possibility. And that's what this is. You don't want to, in making a decision about relationship, whether it's a relationship with another person or even just your relationship with yourself, you need to let go of any regrets, any bitterness, any of that. It needs to go. You're starting new. And it's interesting because there are 2 cups left, and those are the 2 cups that these people can hold, right? You see what I'm saying? It's almost like the 2 of Cups in the tarot. In fact, in this deck, the 2 of Cups is very similar to the Lover's card. Let's take a look what's underneath it. The Knight of Cups, promises of love. Promises of love. This is a very idealistic card. So maybe you need to be a little less idealistic around love and be a little bit more realistic around love. Love is still love and it's still wonderful, but if you're a little bit more realistic about things, you're less likely to get the rug pulled out from under you by the illusion of love. In the past, we have the 9 of Cups. This is wishes come true, but this can also be too much of a good thing. And so you need to see maybe where you've been too much drinking, too much eating, too much partying, too much pleasure, perhaps. And while it's fun, it's not always the most practical thing to do. I almost feel like these cards are saying that you were putting pleasure and love and your illusions around love before the reality of the situation you find yourself in. Okay, in the sky, it feels like there's two cards. I'm sorry, excuse me a second. Feels like there's two cards here, but there's not. Okay, this is a good card. I like this card in the sky. Seven of Pentacles is evaluating. It's not, you're not quite ready to reap the rewards of your efforts. This takes patience. You may need to prune some of the plants or some of the plans in your life in order for them to get stronger. So you're not quite ready to reap the rewards yet, but patience, patience, patience. Seven of Pentacles is patience. It says with patience and care and cutting away the extraneous, you will have the abundance that you seek in the immediate future. So we have Cancer, we have healing. This is a card of spiritual initiation as well as healing. It's alchemical. You see that she has a cup full of fire and a cup full of water. That's the alchemy. Fire and water are the initial elements that create life. The fire and the water being the feminine, fire being the masculine. And from those two elements, the air and the earth are created. So they're the primary elements. The Temperance card is about walking the straight and narrow and tempering. So if this in the past and this in the present for this month, you need to watch what you eat, watch what you drink, watch any drugs you may be taking, whether they're legal or illegal or whatever. You need to be very careful about how you move forward this month when it comes to those things. How you're seen from the outside, the Queen of Pentacles, you're seen as somebody who knows the value of things. So it's not like you're unaware of what is valuable. In the domestic situation, we have the Ten of Cups. This is a nice card to have, especially with the grief card being the card around your choices there at the beginning of the reading. So this is a nice, so there is happiness, there is joy, and there is family time to be had this month for you. Hopes and fears, the King of Cups. The King of Cups feels deeply, but he doesn't let his emotions take over the situation. He will sometimes keep his emotions at bay so that he can lead in the way that he needs to lead. And so this is about perhaps putting your own feelings aside a little bit in order to be of service to others or to be in service to what needs to be done. So, but yet you still have compassion. And once whatever service has to happens, then you can be a little bit more, look into the cup, look into your own cup and see what's there. There is a warning here about getting too emotional. There's too much emotionality is not going to serve you this month. So be aware of that. Your outcome is the Six of Cups. Look at this. I love this card. It's so sweet. This is nostalgia, but it's also about community and family. There's a lot of energy of family here. Maybe you've been a little bit separated from your family for whatever reason, COVID, perhaps. This is a time to sort of reacquaint. So you will have opportunities this month to be with family and to enjoy that. Let's see if we can pick a major arcana. Seven of Cups. I will show you these. The Chariot. So again, we have the Seven of Cups coming up first. This is illusions, delusions, choices to be made. The best choice you can always make is the choice of self, the higher self, as it were. But then we have the Chariot, which is the Cancer card, incidentally, in the deck, and it's about getting on the road. This is about doing your soul's work and moving forward rather quickly. So things, by the end of the month, things are going to start to move very quickly. So it's important that you do take the time to heal this month. Underneath it all, we have the Eight of Wands, lots of information coming in. The Six of Pentacles, either you're going to be given, you're going to be given resources that are coming to you, or you're going to have to give resources to others that are coming to them. It's a balancing of the scales. And then with that, we have the Ace of Cups, which is happiness. So again, you're in the making good choices, healing, not being too extravagant, and spending time with family seems to be the way forward for you this month, Cancer. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Like and subscribe if you would. If you're interested in my work, you can support me on Patreon. There is a link below. You do get some special stuff on Patreon. I have to admit, most of my stuff goes on to YouTube, and I'm trying to build my Patreon, but you can only do so much. But it's happening. But it is a nice way to support my work on YouTube. For my long suffering and long waiting students, I will be starting a beginner's astrology course in June, and also the second part of the Kabbalah class for my students. I just want you to know I haven't forgotten you, but Ireland sort of took precedence. And I think I'm a better person for it. So you'll get a better class. Anyway, have a wonderful month. Like and subscribe, as I said, and I'll see you again next month for the horoscopes for the month of July 2023. But until then, take care of yourselves and don't get caught up in extremes. Just one foot in front of the other, and you're going to do great. Take care, everyone. Namaste.